All right. What's going on, everybody? My name is Michael Hoff, part of the Faceoff Sports Network, and today I'm coming at you with a player you should not want to draft. He was a polarizing player last year. He's a polarizing player this year, at least thus far. For some, I'm going to try and pull you out of that well. I'm going to try and tell you why you do not draft Anthony Richardson under any circumstances. This is a disclaimer for the Colts fans, for the handful of Colts fans out there. So faith in Richardson. I've seen you guys, whether it's on Reddit, whether it's on X, and to those who, listen, selfishly, and that's okay. You have him on your dynasty roster, so you want him to succeed. But I'm going to tell you, this is going to be some hard truths for you, even though this was an Anthony Richardson who was selected with the 4th overall pick back in that 2023 NFL draft. He's on my do not draft list. He was pretty much on my do not draft list actually last year. I think I had him on about 2 best ball teams, and I get it. A lot of people were excited about him. He played in 4 games in his rookie year. He had 2 games of 20 or more points. We know that his season was obviously cut short with the shoulder injury. So that was good enough to finish as a quarterback 39, even though he played in 4 games. The 2 games with 20 more points. He had that one where he went off in the first quarter, and then he suffered a concussion. Then he got hurt again. A lot of people wanted to draft Anthony Richardson headed into the last summer's drafts because they believed in that optimism. They said, hey, he gave us that in 4 games. What is he going to give us in 14, 17 games? So he shot up a lot of these drafts. He was drafted pretty high amongst the quarterbacks. And what did he do in return? Finished as the quarterback 25. He played in 11 games. 5 of those games he had less than 10 points. And then we had all the controversy going on with the injuries, taking himself off the field. A lot of stuff we'll get to. And by the way, this whole conversation about Anthony Richardson, it's hard to have this fantasy football conversation about not drafting him without talking about NFL. So we're going to weave everything in there. So it's not just going to be a statistical thing. It's going to also be front office and what's going on in Indianapolis. I feel like changes are going to be on the horizon. But yeah, so let's get into all that right now. He's played in 15 games. He's averaged 15.7 fantasy points. And the deal with Anthony Richardson is, I get it. Everybody's going to say, yeah, but the ceiling. Yes. The ceiling is there, but how often do we see said ceiling? We don't see it that often. He's got a completion percentage in his career of 50.6. He's got more interceptions than he does touchdown passes. So how often are we really going to see that ceiling that everybody talks about? Right now, headed into this summer, by the way, right now he's right around that ADP and FFPC, 12.5 in terms of, so 12th round pick. I'm not drafting him there. I don't think you should draft him either. I'm going on the length here. I'm going out there, and I'm saying it shouldn't even be going out there. But Daniel Jones is going to start more games than Anthony Richardson. We've already seen the reports that Steichen has said that they're going to split in camp. They're going to split snaps there as far as the QB1. We saw Chris Ballard at the owners' meetings, and the coach is there. He's talked about how this is an open competition. We've heard that. We heard last year they were bringing Joe Flacco to help push Anthony Richardson. Now we're hearing there's a legitimate competition. So that's not something that I'm too thrilled about hearing if I'm somebody who wants to invest in one Anthony Richardson. Let's talk about this, by the way. You want to know how bad Anthony Richardson's been as opposed to what we think he is, as opposed to what we think his ceiling is? Will Levis, right? We all can't stand Will Levis, right? Will Levis is terrible. Will Levis averaged 174.2 passing yards and 5 more touchdowns and 5 more touchdown passes. Meanwhile, Richardson averaged 164.9. So we've got Will Levis averaging damn near 10 more passing yards on a per game basis, and he's got 5 more passing touchdowns than Anthony Richardson. Also, here's another one that was very alarming. Will Levis had an on-target percentage of 71.4%. Anthony Richardson, 58. Will Levis had a bad pass percentage of 18.8. Anthony Richardson, 28. So we're stacking Anthony Richardson up against a Will Levis, who we all believe is on the way out in Tennessee. I mean, they're having dinner with Cam Ward. They're getting ready to make the first overall pick. We all assume that Will Levis is going to be gone. Yet we're comparing him to Anthony Richardson, and checking, and Will Levis is checking out better. Now we can go ahead and do this. Everybody wants to talk about the rushing ability. Well, rushing ability this, rushing ability that. Right. Anthony Richardson had only one less game scoring less than 10 points and averaged 4 more points on a per game basis. That's what being able to run the ball for Anthony Richardson did compared to Will Levis. With all that rushing ability, he only averaged 4.9 more points on a per game basis than Will Levis. And mind you, Levis finished as a QB 30 last year. And with all of Anthony Richardson's rushing ability and that ceiling, and oh God, wait till you see it, 5 spots better. And what were you spending in draft capital? And I get it, the Anthony Richardson draft capital is going to be a lot smaller this year than it was last year, but it'll still be higher than a Will Levis or so on. But again, these are all reasons why you don't draft them. Let's do another thing. Anthony Richardson didn't rush for 500 yards, but I wanted to bring this up, for example. People always talk about rushing ability for Anthony Richardson, yada, yada, yada. You have to remember, you have to be able, even though you're a rushing quarterback, you still have to be able to throw the ball. Like, we can't just see a quarterback run the ball and just say, well, he's a rushing quarterback. That's his way out. It's fine. Everything else is fine because he's a rushing quarterback. Look at some of these numbers from the quarterbacks who rushed for at least 500 yards last year. I have it in front of me here. There was Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, all names we'd expect to hear, right? They ran for over 500 yards. Here's what they did in terms of passing touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 41, Daniels, 25, Hurts, 18, Kyler Murray, 21, Josh Allen, 28. Then we go ahead and we look at the interceptions. 4 for Jackson, 9 for Daniels, 5 for Hurts. Kyler Murray taking the lead there with 11, and then 6 for Josh Allen. Fantastic year from all those quarterbacks, even though Kyler Murray's a little sketchy. AR, Anthony Richardson, in 11 starts, 1,814 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 8 passing touchdowns. 8. The point, and again, the point being, which is what I prefaced when I mentioned all these rushing numbers, the title of, well, he's a rushing quarterback only helps you so much when you're that bad in the passing game. Again, the passing yards for Richardson, 1,814. The quarterbacks who rushed for 500 yards, here were their passing yards. I'm not going to go through the names again. I'm just going to reel off the passing yards. We've got 4,100. We've got 3,500, 2,900, 3,800, 3,700. So Jalen Hurts was the worst of the worst with 2,900 passing yards. That's still 1,000 more passing yards than even Anthony Richardson had. So we can, again, rushing quarterback only means so much to me when he stinks this much in the passing game. And like I already mentioned, career completion percentage of 50.6. Then we go into the injury history. You know, he played in the 4 games in his rookie year. Then he was out. Had a lot of dings here and there throughout this past season that kept him out of games. Let Joe Flacco enter the game. Then we had the whole thing taking himself out of the game. This is unprecedented. We don't see NFL quarterbacks do this. This isn't even one of those like, oh, back in my day, we never did that. No. Back the season before. Quarterbacks don't do this. Quarterbacks don't take themselves out of the game. And his excuse was that he did a lot of running around. That sounds like a Russian quarterback to me, right? Is that what we're doing here? So there's a lot of red flags here. And when we go back to the last summer, when we all drafted Anthony Richardson, we all just went on. We did question the injury concerns, but a lot of it was just, man, he gave us this in 4 games. What the hell is he going to give us if he plays 10 to 17 games? Played 11 and gave us shit, but be that as it may, we all wondered that. That was the allure. Now there are so many red flags here, and I'm not even done yet. We've got the job security of the head coach and the general manager, Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard. They're having a good time up there on the podium. They're laughing, having a good time. I mean, to the people who say it's not fair to Anthony Richardson, by the way, like, because we hear that a lot. That's something we need to discuss. People say, well, it's not fair. Anthony Richardson's only played in 15 games. He can't be removed as a starter. That's not fair. He needs more time to develop. Do you think Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard right now, who are trying to save their jobs, do you think they're saying, like, yeah, we got to save our jobs. We got to stay employed in the NFL, but we got to give Anthony Richardson more time too. That guy. We got to give that guy more time. That's not the case. It's nut cutting time in Indianapolis. Heads are going to roll. Shane Steichen could be fired mid-season if things don't go right, along with Brian Daboll. But that's another discussion for another day. But so Anthony Richardson here, he's got all this going against him. They bring in Daniel Jones. And by the way, this is what I'll say about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I get it. And this is the problem other people have. When you say Daniel Jones will start more games than Anthony Richardson, people assume that that means that you're saying Daniel Jones is something great. Daniel Jones is not something great. Matter of fact, Daniel Jones is something not appealing at all. But that's how bad Anthony Richardson has been, is that Daniel Jones comes in and he's a legitimate threat. If that's not a red flag to you, I don't know what is. That's a red flag. Daniel Jones comes in and he's legitimate competition for Anthony Richardson, and you want to try and tell me you want to either draft this quarterback at some point or you think he should start for the Colts? There's a problem in Indianapolis. And by the way, this is, at the end of the day, this just shows you how bad things are in Indianapolis completely. The fact that we have to compare these two quarterbacks, that showcases just how bad things are being operated there in Indianapolis. They've had some good drafts. I'll give you that. But this is a bad situation here. And again, I'm telling you, do not draft Anthony Richardson under any circumstances, even if he wins this job out of camp. Let's say he does. I don't think he does, but let's say he does. Who's to say he doesn't get hurt right away? Who's to say he doesn't have a terrible game? Who's to say he doesn't pull himself from the game? We've heard some of the character issues off the field. Lack of preparation, not exactly the whole mantra of the first guy in, last man out. So we got all these things going against us for Anthony Richardson. Why the hell are we even talking about drafting him? Even in a 2-quarterback league, I'm not drafting. And Daniel Jones will start more games. Listen, can Anthony Richardson go ahead and succeed somewhere else? Sure. I'll give him that. We've seen guys do before. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, pictured above there. Granted, those guys had more experience. They had more college games. They had more NFL games under their belt. But there's different situations throughout the NFL. I think there's an avenue in which if Anthony Richardson lands with an NFL coach who's known as like a quarterback whisperer, could take Anthony Richardson under his wing. Even if he's not even playing, even if he's a backup. Like if Sam Darnold goes to the Niners and, just sits there in a Kyle Shanahan offense. If Anthony Richardson could do something like that, maybe it helps him. Maybe he resurrects his career. Kid's only 22 years old. But right now, 2025, I'm staying the hell away from Anthony Richardson. And if you guys know what's good for you, you're not taking him either. Not taking him as a second quarterback. I don't even want him as a third quarterback. Because can you rely on him? No. Give me one reason why you can rely on Anthony Richardson. Comment below. Comment your thoughts. Comment below. How can you rely on Anthony Richardson? To draft him, or even if you're a Colts fan, for him to be there for the majority of the season. Let me know why. I'd love to hear it. I will comment to anybody who has anything for me. The last thing I'll say in closing, if any of you want to talk about how this isn't fair, that he should get more starts. It's only 15. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not right. Well, this guy would like to have a word with you. Trey Lance, who's getting ready to potentially play for Saskatchewan in the CFL. Yeah. He didn't really get a fair shake either. He got less than 15 starts. So, there you go. And he didn't exactly play his way out of the job. Just kind of happened. It happens in the NFL, folks. And if you draft Anthony Richardson, you will have more of that proverbial shit. So, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, do not draft Anthony Richardson. Even in a 2-quarterback league, I still think Daniel Jones starts more games in the NFL this season. But comment below. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, and the Indianapolis Colts quarterback room? But until next time, folks, stay thirsty. Be kind to one another. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Cheers.